you ever felt like you were thrown to the lions for standing up for your faith in God? Seemingly, those who seek to devour and discard you, to quiet your godly impact and influence on this world, encircle you on every side. But being thrown to the lions for what you believe is not just some metaphor that encapsulates an uncompromising approach to today's godless world. The saying is based on an event that happened centuries ago. Babylon has a new name, Persia, and is under new rule, the law of the Medes and Persians. And there is a new ruler in town, one who was so highly impressed with an aged Hebrew captive, Daniel. He selected him as prime minister over all the land. Daniel's loyalty to the king and his kingdom was undeniable. But his service to the king was not greater than his service to God. And when a royal edict went out that no one should pray to any god or man except the king for 30 days, what did Daniel do? He prayed and prayed and prayed again. By getting on his knees to pray, he took a stand. No man of God ever looked so tall. But it wasn't without consequences. And when man thinks he can shut out and shut up the faithful of God, let him think again. Just like you and I, when we are thrown to the lions, God will shut the mouths of those who seek to devour us. It is God that can tame the most hurtful enemy in our lives, even in our lion's den. So who was this man of persistent prayer and formidable faith, who even in the face of certain death, placed his life in the hands of God? Daniel, the Lion King, an agent of Babylon.
God usually intervenes in our behalf when with all of our hearts we're standing up for what we know to be right and true. We can almost expect God to do that when we stand for Him. And that's why we should never be afraid to stand for God. I know that sometime this week, having heard this message, something's going to happen. You're going to be in a place where you're going to have to do the right thing or the wrong thing, and the right thing is going to be hard. Just remember Daniel. He stood up when everything was against him. And in the midst of his standing up, not only did he feel the blessing of God on his life, but Almighty God intervened in his behalf and helped him come through it with his hands up high. The last phrase of verse 23 gives us the underlying reason for God's intervention in Daniel's life. It says in verse 23, because he believed in his God. Daniel believed in his God. Let me ask you this. Do we believe in our God? Do we believe that God can help us? How many of you know that sometimes God doesn't want to take us away from our problems? He wants to show us His strength in the midst of our problems. He wants us to be stand-up people who stand up in the secularism of our day so that we can be a testimony to the world around us.